was not born from some filthy woman. Don't talk about mom like that.
Am I right? Yeah, call the bite, Williams for the hype. They gon' write you before you write me. My boxes of checks, not my Nikes. That's not no iced tea.
Oh my god, please ignore my hair. It's literally 6 in the morning and I'm recording this. I'm gonna wear a hat today anyway after I shower, so try not to be distracted about how my hair looks. Yo, what is going on, guys? You already know what it is, when it is, and you know what we do. It is your boy Nemo, and welcome to another YouTube video. Now, this YouTube video is very, very special because, as you all know, your boy, the CEO, the king, the god of Fire Force himself, yes, that's me. And you're probably thinking like, yo, why are you calling yourself the CEO of Fire Force? Like, that don't even make sense. Well, a lot of you don't know this, but I started my content creation journey not with movie content, not with video game content, but with anime content. Just like most people, I started my content creation journey during the pandemic in the year 2020, and it is April right now, and surprise, April is the anniversary of when I started this series called Fire Force Explained. Now, I started this series over on TikTok back in 2020, like I said, during the pandemic, and this was the series that blew me the up. And I remember like having no interest in content creation, but I was just like, yo, if it's gonna be like this, I might as well keep going. So after Fire Force ended, I, steered away from making anime content, and I started talking about comic books, video games, film, music, and everything basically pop culture related. And now we're here. So basically, I already made a video celebrating my 5-year anniversary, not just with, my content creation career, but with Fire Force specifically. I'm gonna link my celebration video in the description below, so please make sure you go check that out. And yeah, so at the end of the video, I said I'm gonna take every single video from my Fire Force Explained series and put it together as a compilation video. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I don't know why it took me whatever, but I'm putting every single one of the videos together so that you guys could enjoy the series. But fair warning, this was 4 or 5 years ago. All right, I am chopped as okay, your boy is ugly. I still am kind of ugly, but anyways, I know y'all don't like when I yap a lot, so we're just gonna get right into it. Here is the entire Fire Force Explained series in this video. I hope you enjoy, and don't forget, all of my social media platforms are going to be linked in the description below. And if you want to be a part of the Evelon family, make sure you join the Discord. That's also going to be in the link. But yeah, join the Discord. It's also going to be in the link in the description below. I can't talk today. I think it's just because it's really early in the morning. And another reminder, I stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. till basically all night. Please tap in with your boy on Twitch. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Happy 5-year anniversary of Fire Force Explained. Captain Nemo, I'm out. I'll see y'all later. All right, what's going on TikTok? Story time. So this new girl got hired at my job and comes to find out she likes anime. So we started talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, and then obviously I made the joke saying that, Fire Force is better than Jujutsu Kaisen, and she got upset. And then she was just like, oh, I don't like Fire Force because of the whole, fan service thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I continued to ask her what scenes did she feel like provided too much fan service. Then she said that she didn't see the anime. Huh? And I was mad confused. I was like, how can you say the show was bad because of the fan service if you haven't seen it? And she continued to say that because someone told her that the show was trash because there was too much fan service. So here we are, people not giving a really good show a try because they can't think for themselves. Because somebody told them it was trash. Like, I don't get it. Now, here is my personal analysis on why the anime community is really toxic, specifically on this app, TikTok. Number one, people are closed-minded, and let me explain. Now, before Bleach became popular and everybody started putting, Bleach into their big three, everybody was saying, oh, can he beat Goku though? And everybody was talking about how Dragon Ball was like the best of the best, this, that, and the third. And when people were coming up with ideas of, you know, people who could actually beat Goku, everybody was getting butthurt about it, and they refused to think outside the box. Number 2, people can't think for themselves anymore. It's actually kind of crazy. When something is popular, they say that's the best anime and nothing else. And lastly, there's just no logic when people are talking and thinking about anime anymore. It's kind of sad. It really is sad. Alright, so this is the last video I'm going to make for tonight because I'm actually really tired. Now, the last thing I have to say is that from here on out, I'm only making Fire Force content, and that is it. The reason why? Let me explain. I feel like I want to go on this mission on showing the people the amazing things that Fire Force has to offer. So yeah, is there fan service? Of course there is. Most shonen anime have fan service. There's no doubt about it. But I just don't want that to be the deciding factor on whether people watch the anime or not. So I want to make it my mission to give you guys and to give the rest of the anime community and the rest of the anime community on TikTok the amazing things that Fire Force has to offer. So if you want to see the good sides of Fire Force and not the bad sides, just follow me for the content. I will be making videos about the manga and anime, so hope you enjoy. I'm gonna start posting consistently tomorrow. Thank you, bye. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to day 1 of Fire Force Explained, and today I'm going to be talking about something very specific, and it's going to be the word latome. The word latome shows up throughout the manga and anime, but little do people know that latome has many different meanings. Now, as you all know, this is Sister Iris. Now, before the Company 8 extinguishes an inferno, she does a little prayer, and at the end of each prayer, she says latome, this meaning amen. There are also many other different meanings to latome. Latome can also mean good luck, or wishing somebody good luck. Latome also means wish me strength. Now, latome is an actual Hungarian word translating to I see. The reason why I love this fact is because there's a lot of death involved in Fire Force. So, you know the phrase, I see the lights. So it's actually kind of cool because when people die, they kind of say latome because it's sort of like, I see the light now. Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to day 2 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about the Great Cataclysm. Alright, so the Great Cataclysm is an event that happened 250 years prior to year 198. So basically, the Evangelist, which is the god of the Fire Force universe, set flames to the entire world, so hot that it burned continents in half, destroying the whole world. The flames that burnt out the entire world is called the Adola Burst. So the Adola Burst is the source of everybody's pyrokinetic powers. I'm actually going to make a full video about this tomorrow, I believe, so stay tuned for that. Now, the Adola Burst is also the source and the cause of spontaneous human combustion, which creates infernals. These guys right here. One day you could be human, and then the next day you could just turn into flames and end up like this dude. So that's the Great Cataclysm. It's actually very simple and straightforward, but it is the root and the source of the story so far in Fire Force. Alright guys, you already know what it is. Day 3 of Fire Force Explained. Let's get right into it. So today we're going to be talking about the difference between the Adola Burst and the Adola Link. Now, as I said in the previous video, the Adola Burst is the source of the pyrokinetic powers. It is the source of spontaneous human combustion, which creates infernals. And it's also the house of the Evangelist, which is the god of Fire Force. Now, the Adola Link is when somebody has a special connection to the Adola Burst. The main important thing to know is that an Adola Link could actually enhance somebody's pyrokinetic powers, make them even stronger. The Adola Link could actually also connect 2 minds, but they could only connect 2 minds that have already been connected with the Adola Burst. And as we see in Season 2, Joker and Dr. Giovanni use the Adola Link to sense somebody's emotions. And that's the difference between the Adola Link and the Adola Burst. Alright guys, welcome to day 4 of Fire Force Explained. Let's get right into it. Now today we're going to be talking about the pillars of the Adola Burst. Now the pillars are pyrokinetic users that are connected to the Adola Burst. Now the flames of the Adola Burst acts like a parasite, and as you know, parasites need hosts to survive. Now since the flames are so strong, they're going to need 8 hosts to survive, and these hosts are called pillars. Now there are 8 pillars in the Adola Burst, but I'm only going to name 6. This is Amaterasu. She is the first pillar. This right here is Hume, and she is the second pillar. This right here is Sho Kusakabe. He is the younger brother of Shinra Kusakabe, and he is the third pillar of the Adola Burst. This is Shinra Kusakabe, and he is the fourth pillar of the Adola Burst. This right here is Inka Kasugatani, and she is the fifth pillar of the Adola Burst. This right here is Natsuku-san, and he is the sixth pillar of the Adola Burst. I'm also making 2 more videos about the pillars, so look out for that as well. Alright guys, this is part 2 of the pillars. Now, since the Adola is the Fire Force version of Hell, it's basically made up of all negative things. And each pillar is actually represented and possessed by a negative emotion. Let me put you on. This is Amaterasu, the first pillar of the Adola Burst, and she actually represents madness, which, you know, makes sense because she's fucking crazy. This right here is Hume. She's the second pillar, and she represents passivity, which makes sense because she's very carefree. And then my man Sho, he represents apathy, which makes sense because he's very nonchalant and is disconnected from everything. Now this is Shinra, the fourth pillar. He represents rage, which makes sense because this is what he looks like on his first form. And this is Inka, the fifth pillar, and she represents destruction, which makes sense because she could literally predict fires. And lastly, this is Natsuku, and he represents fear, which makes sense because he's a young kid who doesn't know how to control his powers. Alright, this is the last part about the pillars, and we're going to move on to the next topic. Let's get right into it. Now, I don't think a lot of people don't know this, and it's not really specified in the anime, but each pillar has a guardian. And you're probably wondering, why do pillars need guardians? Well, if all the pillars are brought together and presented to the evangelist, then they'll be granted, like, immense power. And this is why the White Clad is trying to bring all the pillars together so they could recreate the Great Cataclysm. Now, Amaterasu doesn't have a guardian because she is the first pillar. Now, this is Choron. He is the guardian of Hume. And this right here, her name is Arrow. She is the guardian of Sho. And this right here is Joker. He is the guardian of Shinra. And this is Ritsu, and she's the guardian of Inka. And this is Kuronu, and he is the guardian of Natsuku. Now, the last 2 pillars I said I wasn't going to talk about because of spoilers of the manga, but as of right now, it hasn't been confirmed if they have guardians. Welcome to day 5 of Fire Force Explained. Let's get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the Fire Force itself. Now, the Fire Defense Agency are the ones who take care of everyday fires that happen in everyday life. But they decided to create the Special Fire Force so that they could, specify in defeating infernals and then studying and trying to figure out where human spontaneous combustion comes from. Now, the Special Fire Force is actually broken up into 8 different teams, brigades, or companies, whatever words you choose to use. And each company serves to protect a different district in Tokyo. Now, the Special Fire Force Company, their nicknames is the Blue Stripes, the reason why that's their nickname is because if you look closely at their uniforms, they have blue stripes on their gear. Now, I don't know the complete history of the Special Fire Force, but if you want me to find that out for you, I could definitely do that and make a whole nother video for it. Thank you for watching. Alright, welcome to day 6 of Fire Force Explained. I'm actually glad you asked this question because this was going to be my next topic. Now, the reason why characters have different colored eyes and the reason why they glow is because it's to let people know that they're pyrokinetic users. Their eyes only glow when their powers are activated or when they're currently using their powers. Now, as you can tell in this picture, you can notice 2 things, the different colors and the different shapes within each eye. Now, if you're wondering where the shapes come from what type of ability a person has. So as you can see, the second one right here, the blue one with the arrows on it, that's from the character Arrow. And so basically, if the arrows are pointing up in her eyes, that means she has to see further in distance. But if the arrows are pointing down, that means she has to attack at a closer range. Now, as far as colors, I want to say the colors has to do with whether they're a 2nd generation user or a 3rd generation user, but I will figure that out soon. Alright guys, I'm so sorry I'm late, but welcome to day 7 of Fire Force Explained. So I've talked about the Adola Burst, I talked about the Adola Link, now today we're going to be talking about the Adola Grace. Now, an Adola Grace could only happen specifically to 3rd generation pyrokinetic users. It's when a godlike being connects with a pyrokinetic user using the Adola Link to enhance their powers. Once their powers are enhanced, then they become a 4th generation pyrokinetic user. And again, this could only happen to 3rd generation pyrokinetic users, and this is the only way 4th generation pyrokinetic users are created. Now, my favorite example of an Idola grace happens in chapter 121. This right here is the Lady in Black, and she grants Shinra 1 second of her power, and he basically moves faster than the speed of light to defeat the demon Infernal. Alright, sorry I'm late again, but welcome to day 8 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about the generations in Fire Force. First off, we have the first generation pyrokinetics. Now, first generation pyrokinetics are pyrokinetic beings, but they don't have powers. Now, first generations are only infernals, but there's also different types of infernals. Now, there's second generation. Second generation pyrokinetic users have experienced human spontaneous combustion, but they survive, and their only powers is to control existing flames. They cannot create their own. Now, the third generation. Third generations can create their own flames and control their own flames, but they cannot control existing flames like second generation users. Then there's fourth generation. Like I said in my previous video, fourth generation pyrokinetic users could only be created if a third generation connects with a godly being through the Idola burst. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to day 9 of Fire Force Explained. Today's going to be a really short video because I have to hop on some video games with the boys, but here we go. Today we're going to be talking about the Matchbox. This right here is the Matchbox. It's a heavily armored vehicle that's provided to each company within the Special Fire Force. They use this vehicle to travel from mission to mission, and even if a mission is out of country, they'll use this vehicle to travel there. This vehicle could hold up to 6 people, 4 people in the back and 2 people in the front, 1 driving, 1 passenger. This vehicle also contains their weapons and their equipment that they need for their missions. Now, one little detail that I like about the manga and the anime is that we all know that Shinra has the ability to fly. So sometimes when they're traveling to a mission, you'll see the rest of his teammate drive in the Matchbox, but yet he's flying over them, which is a little detail that I like. So there you go. Alright guys, welcome to day 10 of Fire Force Explained. Sorry I didn't post yesterday. I was low-key feeling like not well, so today, here's another video. Today is going to be a fun fact video. As we all know, this is the White Clad, and if you look really closely, you'll notice that everyone has something to cover their eyes. And you're probably wondering why they have to keep their eyes covered. Well, that's because the Evangelist, the god of the Fire Force universe, you cannot physically look at her because your eyes will get set on fire. Now, because of this, no one knows what she looks like, and nobody knows what her face looks like, and nobody knows the identity of the Evangelist. And another thing to note, you'll notice that some characters like Sho and Inca, they do not have anything to cover their eyes, but that's because they haven't gotten into direct contact of the Evangelist just yet. So until they get into contact, that's when they need a face covering. And there's your fun fact. Alright guys, you already know what it is. Welcome to day 11 of Fire Force Explained. Now today we're going to be talking about the 119. This right here is the 119. It's a mascot group created by the Fire Defense Agency. So the group consists of 1 dog, 2 dog, and the cat. But since the higher-ups decided to change the design, they changed one of the dogs to a human being. So that's why it has like a weird hybrid of a dog-human face. The reason why they're called the 119, it's a pun on the onomatopoeia woof woof meow, considering the fact that there's 2 dogs and 1 cat, and it's actually the Japanese for wan wan neon. Another fun fact about the 119, it's the actual emergency contact in the Fire Force universe, and yes, if you put it in reverse, it's 911, the emergency contact that we use. And there you have it, now you know where these mascots come from. Alright, welcome to day 12 of Fire Force Explained. We're going to be talking about characters now. The first character we're going to talk about is the Evangelist. The Evangelist is the god of the Fire Force universe. Now, it has been confirmed that the Evangelist is a female. She's the one that created the Great Cataclysm that happened 250 years ago. The Great Cataclysm is a phenomenon that sets the entire world on fire so that it could become a new sun. But last time she tried to execute the Great Cataclysm, she actually failed. So although it did great damage to the world, it didn't actually turn the world into the sun. This right here is Yona. Yona is the first disciple of the Evangelist. The Evangelist actually sent him to Earth to create a religious group called the Holy Soul Temple. Now, the people of Fire Force don't know the Evangelist is an evil being, so that's why she created the Holy Soul Temple, to give people a religion to believe in, to make her seem like she's good. I'm posting part 2 immediately after this, so go watch that too. Alright, now this is part 2 of the Evangelist. Now the Evangelist lives within the Adola. Now the Adola is the Fire Force version of Hell. Now it hasn't been confirmed in the anime, but if you read the manga, you know that you could get to Adola through a dimensional rift, and that dimensional rift resides within the Chinese peninsula. Now the Evangelist is also inspired by the real-life female demonic figure. Her name is Lilith. Now you can kind of see the resemblance here because of the horns. Now I've talked about this in a previous video, but just in case anybody new is watching, I'm going to state it again. No one knows what she looks like, and it's been confirmed that if you try to look in her eyes, your eyes will burn, and that's the reason why there's so many cloths that she wears. And then that's the reason why the white clad always has a covering over their eyes. So there you go, the Evangelist. Alright guys, welcome to day 13 of Fire Force Explained. This is the Evangelist part 3. Now before I continue, I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to every single one of you. You've been showing so much love and support to all of the content lately, and let me tell you, that means so much to me. I appreciate you guys. Let's get right into it. Now this is going to be a short video. This dude asked for a part 3, and here's why it's going to be a short video, because I'm only going to say one thing and one thing only. The Evangelist is also the Kishin of Soul Eater. Let that sink in. Also, that may or may not just be a theory, so I'm gonna let y'all talk about that in the comment section. Alright, welcome to day 14 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're gonna be talking about the different types of Infernals, and yes, there are different types of Infernals. Now this is your base level Infernal, and think of them like zombies just on fire. Next up, we have the Sentient Infernal. So basically they could think for themselves, act for themselves, and they could talk in full sentences. Next up are Artificial Infernals. Now, artificial infernals are people who turn into infernals, but not due to the cause of spontaneous human combustion. The prime example is if you get bitten by this bug, you turn into infernal because this bug has the power of the Adola burst within inside them. Next up, we have the demon infernals. The best way to determine if an infernal is a demon is if they have horns, like you see in this picture. Now, infernals also comes in different sizes too. This is a normal size infernal, and this right here is a giant size infernal. And then lastly, we have the Kaiju size Infernal. These things are massive. Alright guys, welcome to day 15 of Fire Force Explained. Let's get right into it before my phone dies. This is Shinra Kusekabe. He is 17 years old and he is a 3rd generation and a 4th generation pyrokinetic user. Now Shinra has a very weird tick. It's an involuntary action of him smiling under stressful situations or uncomfortable situations. So when he was younger, he lost his mother due to the fact that she turned into an infernal and burned down their home. And the mother eventually passed away, and he thought he lost his brother, Sho. And as you can see here by this picture, when he was younger, he started smiling at the situation, hence how he got the nickname, the Devil. Now because of this event, he decided to join the Special Fire Force to fulfill his dream in becoming a hero. I'm also going to be posting a part 2, so stay tuned for that as well. Alright guys, welcome to day 16 of Fire Force Explained. This is Shinra Kusekabe part 2. Now we briefly talked about his backstory, now we're going to talk about abilities. His most known ability is that he could fly. Now as you can see, the flames is coming from his feet, and that's how he's able to fly, using the flames of the Adola burst. Now as we see in season 1 and season 2, Benimaru is actually training Shinra. Benny teaches him a series of hand signals called the Tora Hishiki. This is a technique to concentrate, control, and redirect your ki. He uses this to direct the ki to his feet so he can move faster when flying. Now let's talk about different forms. This is his first form. And this is his second form when he's being possessed by the first pillar, Amaterasu. Now this is his third form. It's called the Press of Death, and it's when the fear of death literally overtakes his body and makes him stronger. And you know things are about to go down when his flames go from red to blue. Alright guys, you already know what it is. Welcome to day 17 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most peculiar characters in Fire Force, which is Arthur Boyle. This is going to be a pretty long story, so bear with me. It might be 3 parts as well. So you're probably wondering why Arthur is so obsessed with the medieval ages, and that he thinks he's a knight. So to start off his backstory, when he was a little kid, his parents opened up a restaurant to earn money for a living. Then one day, that said restaurant actually got burned down. So their parents, seeing this in the news, his mother told him to go wake up his dad so they could talk about the situation. So when Arthur went to go wake up his dad, he found that his cowboy hat was covering his face. So when his dad woke up, he covered Arthur's face with the hat, and he says you could imagine the world whatever you want it to be. So Arthur continued to imagine the world as the medieval ages, with a castle and him being a knight. I'm gonna post part 2 like right now, actually. Alright guys, welcome to day 17 of Fire Force Explained. This is Arthur Boyle part 2. Now right after his obsession with the medieval ages came about, his parents actually left him a letter saying that they were on a top secret mission to go save the world, leaving him all by himself. And in that said note, it said that he is the king of the castle now. Arthur Boyle never saw his parents ever again after that. Hence the reason why he thinks he's a real knight, because that's all he's ever known. Alright, now my favorite part, let's talk about powers and abilities. Now Arthur is actually a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. His weapon of choice is a sword that generates plasma, and yes, plasma is a form of fire. Now people don't really think Arthur is strong, but he's a lot stronger than you think. He could move almost as fast as the Severed Universe. And Excalibur, which is the name of his sword that he uses, literally split the ocean in half. As a matter of fact, let me show you. Yeah, literally split the ocean in half using Excalibur. Alright guys, this is part 18 of Fire Force Explained. Now, I couldn't believe how many requests I got to do Ogun, so that's what I'm gonna do. This right here is Ogun Montgomery. He's 17 years old, and he is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. Now, my favorite thing to talk about is the fact that he is Shinra's best friend. And the reason why I love this friendship is because it's not a rivalry. Ogun and Shinra met at the Fire Force Training Academy. They were partnered together a lot, so that's how they became close. And although they graduated to 2 separate different companies, they still kept in touch, and they're still friends till this day. Alright, next up, my favorite part, powers and abilities. But that's going to be in part 2, so make sure you go watch that video as well. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained Day 18, Ogun Part 2. We're going to be talking about powers and abilities now. Now, Ogun's weapon of choice, or I should say object of choice, is a skateboard without any wheels. He uses the flame of the Adola burst to propel himself so he could fly with that board. Another one of his abilities is called the Yoruba Forge, where he could forge different weapons out of fire. The forge he uses a lot is the sphere with the very sharp edges to them. Next up, this is called the Flaming Ink. Flaming Ink is his special ability, and it's basically an enhancement to increase his strength and durability. When he uses this ability, think of him as a tank from Overwatch. He has super strength, he has super durability, he has mobility, and he's able to take up massive amounts of damage. Lastly, it's important to note that there's a timer on this ability because there is a cooldown time, so he cannot use this forever or indefinitely. And that's it for Ogun Montgomery. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 19 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Maki Oze. Maki is 19 years old, and she is a 2nd generation pyrokinetic user. Her nickname is The Witch. This is her father, Danro Oze. Back in year 195, she served 2 years in the Tokyo military, the same military that her dad served under, and her dad was a general. Now, Maki actually left the military to join the Special Fire Force because she believed that it was better to help people rather than to fight against them. Her father was actually not happy at all about this because he believes that the Special Fire Force is not a job for a young lady, which is kind of sexist in my opinion. And as we see in season 2, she actually joined back in the military, but then momentarily she came right back to the Special Fire Force. You guys know the deal, part 2 for powers and abilities. Welcome to day 19, this is Maki Oze part 2, we're going to talk about powers and abilities. Now, to be honest with you, and this is just me being really honest, she doesn't have that many powers. But there's one thing to note about Maki as a whole. So far, she is considered the best hand-to-hand combatant in the entire Fire Force universe, which says a lot. Talk about female empowerment, that's actually really dope. You'll also notice that Maki walks around with 2 fireballs as if they were a pet. This is called a Pusu Pusu. One of them is named Flare, and the other one is named Sputter, I think. She even has armor for each fireball. It was designed and created by a character called Vulcan, who later becomes the official engineer of the Company 8 in Special Fire Force. Her most powerful move is called the Sputter Comet. She uses Sputter and Flare, puts them together to make a giant fireball, and uses it for defense and offense. Thank you for watching.
Alright guys, welcome to day 20 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Tekuro Noto. He is also known as the Juggernaut. Alright, so he's actually one of my favorite characters in Fire Force, and I'm about to tell you why in a second. So the Juggernaut actually grew up on a potato farm with his mother and father, and this is a picture of it, and as you can tell, it's massive. Now, when he was younger, his mother and father actually forced him to either join the Tokyo Army or the Special Fire Force. The reason why they wanted this for him is because they saw the potential that he had as a person. He was very hesitant about it first because he was shown to be weak because he's actually afraid of fire. And yes, although he's a pyrokinetic user himself, he is afraid of his own fires. Now, when he joined the Special Fire Force Academy, he met this guy right here. His name is Hijiki, who became best friends with him. Now, he helped him with his pyrophobia, but he still is afraid of fire, unfortunately. But Hijiki stuck by his side no matter what. Lastly, he actually has a crush on Tamaki. Alright, day 20 of Fire Force Explained, the Juggernaut Part 2. Now, the Juggernaut is 18 years old and he's a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. His main ability is Forge. The type of weapon he forges the most are missiles, as you can see in this picture. Now I'm about to get into why I love this character so much. I love Juggernaut because of his character development over everything. In the beginning he was weak and he was afraid of his own fires. But in order to protect the one he loves, he overcame that weakness and unlocked his full potential. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm about to show you right now. Because once this man gets mad, you do not want to mess with the Juggernaut. This man is an absolute beast, and he's one of the most slept on characters in the Fire Force universe so far. Welcome to day 21 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Tamaki Tokatsu. Before we get into the video, I just want to make one thing clear. If I see any of you in the comments saying that Fire Force is trash because of the fan service, or Tamaki's character is ruined because of the fan service, I'm either one, gonna delete your comment, or I'm just gonna ignore you. The reason why I'm making these videos is to show people and to show the anime community that Fire Force is actually really good. So let's get right into it. When Tamaki was younger and she was in the training academy, an accident happened. During one of her training exercises, she actually fell forward, leaving her backside revealed to the whole class. This led her to being ostracized and sexualized. People actually questioned if she was actually good enough to become a fire soldier. So after proving herself worthy, she joined Special Company 1. Then, after what happened with Commando Rekka, she joined Company 8. You already know the deal, part 2 for powers and abilities. Alright, welcome to day 21 of Fire Force Explained, Tamaki Part 2, Powers and Abilities. Tamaki is 17 years old and she is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. Her main ability is Ignition. What this means is that she could cover her body to make her move faster and become stronger. And by using this ability, she gives herself features similar to a cat. And this is why she's able to run really fast on all fours, as you can see in this picture right here. Now this is her first form and it's called the Neko Mata. Now in this form is when her entire body is covered in flames and her powers are amplified. Now although Tamaki is one of the weaker characters in Fire Force, as you can see, she still can hold her own. One thing about Tamaki that no one knows is that she is a very good strategist. She's able to assess any situation within a matter of seconds. She can also deconstruct and analyze an opponent's ability within a matter of seconds as well. Hope this clears the air about Tamaki. I hope you like this video. Alright guys, welcome to day 22 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about the Joker. This is my trigger warning to anybody who's watching this because his backstory is kind of intense. So let's get right into it. Now the Joker is an orphan. He was left alone as a child with nothing but this watch right here you see in this picture. He was taken in by the Holy Soul Temple, where he would continue to train with the Holy Soul Shadows. Despite him training well, the captain of the Holy Soul Shadows continued to beat him to near death. Not only was he beaten, but he was also tortured as well. And unfortunately, he was molested as well. Now I have my head covering it because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show it on TikTok. Now as of season 1 and season 2, nobody knows his real name. All we know is that he was referred to as 52 because he was the 52nd orphan to be taken in. Now the Joker's goal in life is to figure out what the Holy Soul Temple is hiding about the Evangelist. You already know part 2 for powers and abilities. Welcome to day 22 of Fire Force Explained. This is the Joker part 2. Today we're going to be talking about his powers and abilities. The Joker is 28 years old and he is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. Other than Benny and Maki, he is also skilled in hand-to-hand combat. His main ability is Ignition, and he uses Ignition to light up a deck of cards and use the cards as projectiles to attack his enemies. Lastly, there's a technique he uses that nobody really, pay attention to. As you can see in this picture, he's actually smoking a cigarette and the smoke is in the shape of a skull. That's because the smoke actually contains a psychedelic drug. So whenever he's around his enemies, he smokes the cigarette to make his enemies hallucinate. And fun fact about the 52 cards, since he was referred to as the number 52 when he was younger, he chose a deck of cards which has 52 cards in a deck. And this is why the Joker is my favorite character, because he's very mysterious. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 23 of Fire Force Explained, the moment you've all been waiting for. Today we're going to be talking about Benny Maru. Benny Maru is actually one of the most respected characters in all of Fire Force. Benny actually grew up as an orphan and he was adopted by this guy, and his name is Hibachi Shinman. Now Hibachi only adopted him because he needed an heir to the throne for his family. He was super strict and even sometimes belittled Benny Maru. Now Hibachi had his doubts about Benny because he couldn't master a technique called the Sun Wheel, as you see in this picture right here. The reason why Hibachi was upset because the Sun Wheel is actually the signature technique of the Shinman family. Years later, Benny was actually introduced to Conroe, who taught him how to do the Sun Wheel. Even when he was little, he was helping out to put Infernals to rest. As he got older, he joined Special Fire Force Company 7, and he became the commander in replacement of Conroe. You already know part 2 for powers and abilities. Alright guys, this is day 23 of Fire Force Explained, Benny Maru Shinman part 2. Today we're going to be talking about his powers and abilities. Benny is actually 22 years old and he is a 2nd and 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. This is why he's so strong, because not only can he create his own fires, but he could control his own fires and control fires that are already existing. This man is actually also a king of hand-to-hand combat. His signature ability is the Sun Wheel. The Sun Wheel contains the heat almost as hot as the sun itself, and it basically just shoots at you like, I guess a frisbee, as you can say. And if it hits you, you're basically done. He also has a whole bunch of other skills that he can use. There's Fire Moon, Breath of Life, Moonlight, Crimson Moon, Daybreak, Red Sun, another ability called the Sunset, and most importantly, the skill that nobody knows about is that he could literally control velocity. Alright guys, welcome to day 24 of Fire Force Explained. We're going to be talking about Sho Kuzekabe. Sho Kuzekabe. Man, I don't even know where to begin. Just like his brother Shinra, his story started 12 years ago when a fire accident happened in his home. Now here's where things get very interesting, because they were just having a grand old time, baby Sho, kid Shinra, just going on about their day. Then at night, a fire broke out. Long story short, the mom turned into a demon infernal. Sho was basically kidnapped by Hume and Chiron and handed over to the evangelists. And then Shinra's powers got, awoken. Now, the reason why I say it was interesting because nobody knew how the fire started to begin with. It's a mystery. So that's one of the reasons why Sho is so powerful, because he was damn near trained by the evangelist herself, which is insane. Part 2 for powers and abilities, you know the drill. Alright, welcome to Fire Force Explained, day 24. This is Sho Kuzekabe part 2, powers and abilities. Sho Kuzekabe is 14 years old and he is a 3rd and 4th generation pyrokinetic user. Now Sho literally only has one ability and one ability only. It's called Severed Universe. I explained this in a previous video, but I'm gonna do it again. Severed Universe is the ability to cool down the molecules within a certain space to slow down the time. Which is why Sho is way too fast for anybody. Because time is slowing down for him, but he's moving faster than normal. Now he's very skilled in hand-to-hand combat and his weapon of choice is a katana. Other than that, that's all he really needs. He literally lives within his own universe. He's way too powerful. Honestly, I would love to see a battle between him and Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. As a matter of fact, let me know who you think would win in that fight in the comment section below. I'm interested to hear that. But thank you for watching. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Fire Force Explained, day 25. Now, I'm not going to be talking about a character today, only because I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about doppelgangers. more specifically the doppelgangers who are infernals. Let's get right into it. Now, doppelgangers are basically alternate versions of yourself. And in this case, the alternate version of yourself is an infernal. They are created inside the Idolaverse, and they also live inside the Idolaverse. Now, fun fact, every single human being has a doppelganger, regardless if you are a pyrokinetic user or not. Now, your doppelganger will always be an evil version of yourself. The reason why is because it comes from the Idola, and the Idola is the source of all things evil. Now, doppelgangers could also speak and act for themselves, similar to demon infernals, basically. Now, as the White Clad and the Evangelists are working towards the Great Cataclysm too, I hope this answers your questions, and if you have any more questions, just hit up the comments. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 26 of Fire Force Explained. We're going to talk about the big boss himself, Choron. Alright, now 12 years ago, he was only 16 years old when he was appointed to become the Guardian of Hume. During that time, they had the assignment to look for the next pillar of the Idolaverse. That pillar being Sho Kuzekabe. And by now, we all know what happened. Now, there's a lot more to his backstory, but it's actually kind of spoilers for the manga and potentially the anime. So for now, we're going to talk about his personality. Now, Choron is not controlling, but he is very serious. He is also very loyal. Most importantly, he's very aggressive. Now, these personality traits come in use because whenever there's a task that needs to be done, he gets the job done. Now, although he's very aggressive and very stern, he has this soft spot for Hume. And I think that's the main reason is because, like, they grew up together, basically. And he's basically like a big brother to Hume. And you know the drill, part 2 for powers and abilities. Alright, welcome to day 26 of Fire Force Explained. This is Choron, part 2, powers and abilities. Now, what can I say? This man is basically like a tank. He has super strength, extreme durability, a lot of stamina, a lot of endurance. Now, the only downfall to this character is that he's not that fast. But his main ability is the most OP. He is 26 years old and he's a second generation pyrokinetic user. His main ability is absorbing massive amount of kinetic energy, turning it into thermal energy, and then using that as a counterattack. The reason why this is such an OP attack is because he could use it for offense and defense. Now, there is a limit to how much damage he could take in, but let's face it, he caught a nuke and threw it at the moon. If you don't believe me, let me show you. Alright guys, welcome to day 27 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Leonard Burns. Burns is the most experienced fire soldier. He is also one of the most wisest characters in all of Fire Force. When he was a child, he showed nothing but devotion to the Holy Soul Temple. Raffles III gave him the nickname, the Lion that banishes all evil. When he was younger, he experienced an Idola link. And while he was inside the Idola, he actually tried to look into the Evangelist, but as I said previously, your eyes will burn if you try to look into the Evangelist, hence the reason why he has an eye patch. This is a picture of Burns and the Joker in the Idola realm. This is where they experienced that the Evangelist is actually evil, which led both of them to question the faith of the Holy Soul Temple. It also led both of them to find out the truth of the Evangelist. Now, they both have different routes on how they want to get to the truth, but nonetheless, their goals are similar. He was also there 12 years ago when Shinra's mom died. Part 2, you already know the... Alright guys, day 27 of Fire Force Explained, Leonard Burns, part 2, powers and abilities. Burns is 50 years old, and he is the 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. He is also the captain of the 1st company in Fire Force. And my man is kinda OP, let me put you on. He has superhuman strength and super enhanced durability, just like Choron. But he's also really fast. Since he's a 3rd generation, his main abilities comes from Ignition. Now, his 2 main abilities is Stigma and Voltage Nova. Now, the main ability that he uses is Voltage Nova. And let me tell you, when he is in this mode, you don't want to mess with him. And that's basically because the Voltage Nova is basically just a regular ignition ability, but when he's in this state, it enhances everything times 100. This ability also makes him invincible to all forms of fire, such as thermal energy and plasma energy, which is insane. You already know, thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 28 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Takahisa Hinowa. So before joining the Fire Force, he was actually a sergeant within the military. And fun fact, when Maki used to be in the military, she used to serve directly under Hinawa. Another fun fact, Hinawa wasn't always quiet. He actually always used to be morbid and very dark. I guess it had something to do with being in the military and how stressful it can be sometimes. This right here, this man, his name is Tojo. He used to be Hinawa's best friend. But then one night while they were in his room, he spontaneously combusted. Tojo is begging Hinawa to kill him to put him out of his misery. But because of the love he had for his best friend, Hinawa couldn't bring himself to shoot him. It wasn't until later the guards came in and shot Tojo to death. Then after this, he joined the Fire Force, ended up joining Company 8, and the rest is history. You guys already know the deal, part 2 for powers and abilities. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained Day 28. This is Hinawa, part 2, powers and abilities. Now, Hinawa might not be the strongest character in Fire Force, but his powers and the way they work, they're very interesting. He is 28 years old and he is a 2nd generation pyrokinetic user. Now, his powers, guns. That's it, just guns. Nah, I'm just playing with you. Let me explain. So his utility and his equipment are actual real guns, but he doesn't use real bullets. The guns, he only uses it as a vessel. He says it's more accurate to use a gun to actually attack his enemies. He also has other abilities such as velocity control. He can manipulate trajectory, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I'm pretty sure he has a genius level intellect, but it hasn't been confirmed in the manga or in the anime. And as you can see in the picture behind me, he's able to control massive recoil using his ignition powers. I don't know about you, but if I saw this, I would not mess with him. Thank you for watching. Welcome to day 29 of Fire Force Explained. Now, we're not going to be talking about characters today. We're going to be talking about something a little different. Now, one of my followers actually came up with the idea, and he said he had a theory on if the evangelist can grant characters the power to turn into an inferno at will and turn back to their normal selves at will. I have to talk about this. Now, how it would work, let me explain. Now, what I'm about to say next is actually kind of a spoiler, so if you don't want anything to be spoiled, leave now. So the secret behind spontaneous human combustion is when your doppelganger counterpart's soul takes over your soul in the physical world, and that's why you turn into fire. So how that would work, the evangelist would have to grant you the power to be strong enough to withstand the flames of your doppelganger counterpart. And in some way, shape, or form, you would have to take out your counterpart. And if you defeat your doppelganger, you get to keep that power of being an infernal. That's the best way I could explain it. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 30 of Fire Force Explained. Let's get right into it. Technically, this is Shokuzakabe part 3. One of my mutuals, Minato, asked this question, so I'm about to answer. So the question was, can he use Severed Universe without a blessing? And the answer is yes. But he does require something else to use Severed Universe in the physical world. Now, for people who don't read the manga, there's something called the Divine Protection. The Divine Protection is granted by the Evangelist herself, and it can only be granted by the Evangelist. The Divine Protection basically gives you immunity to both impure fire and pure fire. Alright, so in chapter 84, as you see in the top right-hand corner, she says herself, "It looks like we're connected. My power manifests because of the divine protection of the preacher. If you have crossed my link, then you have received their divine protection also." This meaning that Sho has to go through an Adola link to connect with the Evangelist herself so he could be granted the divine protection so that he could use Severed Universe. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 31 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Hibana. And to be honest with you, I don't like this character at all. So let's get right into it. Hibana, just like most characters in Fire Force, is actually an orphan. She grew up in the Holy Soul Temple along with Sister Iris, who's a part of Company 8. She was very respected by the younger girls in the church because she's the oldest. And unfortunately, one day out of nowhere, the church burned down due to human spontaneous combustion. Now, everybody who was in the church died except for Iris and Hibana. Now, you would think this is a traumatizing event for somebody, but in actuality, Hibana was actually aroused by the pain and suffering. She was actually very intrigued by the trauma. And because of her fascination with the human spontaneous combustion, she became obsessed and started doing a lot of research to find out the source. Long story short, as Hibana got older, she left Iris, ran away to continue her research. Alright guys, you know the deal. Part 2 for powers and abilities. Welcome to day 31 of Fire Force Explained. This is Princess Hibana, part 2, powers and abilities. Hibana is 20 years old, and she is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. She actually has 2 main abilities. Her first ability is called a Heat Syncope. As you can see, while Shinra was fighting her, he just, passed out of nowhere. So let me explain this ability. So basically, Hibana could control the heat within inside your body. So for example, she uses the heat to enlarge the blood vessels. That leads to low blood pressure. And it also reduces the blood traveling to your brain, which is very important. Her second ability is called the Cherry Blossom Snowstorm. Now, honestly, as pretty as it looks, it's really not that great. It's basically a storm of rose petals, but those rose petals are really sharp and it basically cuts you if you're in that storm. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, just comment down below. One more thing before I leave, Hibana is actually African American. Guess who's back? Welcome to day 32 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Captain Obi. Now, originally he was just a regular firefighter who was a part of the Fire Defense Agency. Now, Captain Obi was the one who founded Company 8 for Fire Force years ago. He saw how some of the original members were very disrespectful to the Infernos who were once human beings. He decided to take this duty on himself, to treat Infernos who were once human beings the way they should. The day he decided to form Company 8 is the same day he met Captain Hinoa. They met at the same incident. They both had the same views and the same beliefs on how to take out an Inferno. And ever since then, that's how Company 8 was started, and that's what we know about Captain Obi so far. Captain Obi doesn't have powers or abilities, but I'm still gonna do a part 2. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Fire Force Explained Day 32, and this is Captain Obi Part 2. Now, Captain Obi is 31 years old and he is not a pyrokinetic user. He doesn't even have any powers. Similar to Rock Lee from Naruto, he trains a lot. And through hard work and a lot of experience, his only power, I guess, is willpower. This man is strong. Now, although he's not that great at hand-to-hand combat, he's an expert on weaponry. Now, since he doesn't have any abilities, let's talk about the weapons he uses. So this weapon on his arm is called the Core Annihilating Pile Bunker. This is how it's designed, so you have a better look at it. This right here is the 7th style firefighting battle axe. Now it looks like a regular axe, but it is blessed with holy water. And he also uses smoke grenades. Then you have his special shield. This shield is so powerful it took a blow from Benimaru. And again, as you can see, the shield is just not going nowhere, basically. Alright guys, you see how my glasses on? You already know what time it is. This is day 33 of Fire Force Explained, and today we're going to be talking about Iris. And boy, let me tell you, I'm excited to talk about this character. But before we continue, this is massive spoilers for the manga and potential story arcs for Season 3 and Season 4 of Fire Force. So this is your only warning. Leave now or forever hold your peace. Now, her backstory is the same as Hibana's. She grew up as an orphan and she was taken in by the Holy Soul Temple, where she was trained to become a nun. Then the fire broke out at the Holy Soul Temple where she grew up at. Everyone died except for Hibana and Iris. They were the only 2 survivors. Hibana, when she grew up, decided to research on how human spontaneous combustion happens. Then Iris continued her studies as a nun. Then she later joined the Company 8. Now, the next part of the story is where the spoilers start to come in. This actually might be 3 parts, so see you in the next video. Alright guys, day 33 of Fire Force Explained. This is Iris Part 2. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm literally just gonna jump right into it. Now, I forget what chapter the backstory starts, but I think it's around 195. So after the death of Leonard Burns, Hibana decides to go back to her hometown, where she visits the church that her and Iris grew up in. Now, in that church, in the altar of the church, she finds an underground, passageway that leads to, a secret basement. Now, in that secret basement is a room full of books and scientific studies. This is where she questions, why are there books about plants, vegetables, and insects? Then, reminiscing about the past, she realized growing up she ate a lot of vegetables. And as you can see in the panel right above me, she starts to get nervous. Alright, so what I'm about to tell you next is kind of rough, so watch part 3. Yo guys, turn me up, bro. This is part 3 of Sister Iris. And as I said in my previous video, there's the spoilers for the manga. So if you don't want anything spoiled, leave now. So basically, this woman right here, her name is Sister Sumire. She is the sister that taught Hibana and Iris when they were younger. Basically, the reason why there were studies on vegetables and insects is because she was putting the Adolabers within those insects and feeding those insects and vegetables to the children that she was teaching. And yeah, Hibana did not take that too well. And this is where she revealed herself in the secret basement, and she meets Hibana for the first time in years. Now you're probably wondering, what does any of this have to do with Sister Iris? Well, if you've been reading the panels behind me that I've been showing you, we found out in this chapter that Sister Iris is the 8th pillar of the Adolaverse. Fucking insane. Alright guys, I'm so sorry I'm late, and I forgot what part we're on, but welcome to Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Victor Licht. I think I pronounced his name right. Now Victor attended the Imperial University of Tokyo, and after graduating on the top of his class, he was hired at Whoisnemo Industries. Now Victor is most known for his thesis essay about human spontaneous combustion. And yes, other than Hibana, he is the only other person to do research on the human spontaneous combustion. And during his time working at Whoisnemo Industries, he met Joker. And this is where things get a little interesting. Now, since Victor wanted to unveil the truth on human spontaneous combustion, and Joker wanted to unveil the truth and the secrets behind the Holy Soul Temple, the Joker decided to ask Victor to work with him. Since the two topics at hand are related, and I'm not going to explain because of spoilers, it only made sense for them to work together. Now, here's the interesting part. Nobody really knows if Victor is a villain or not. So this is actually a very good statement, but let me explain. Now, the word Latom is Hungarian for I see, but in the Fire Force universe, Latom means multiple different things, such as hello, goodbye, blessing, good luck, the same way people use the word poggers now. So whenever Iris is working with Company 8 and they're putting Infernos to rest, she starts a prayer. That's because she practices a religion called the Holy Soul. And at the end of each prayer, they say Latom, meaning Amen. Now, here's why I love this aspect of Fire Force. Because although everybody is saying Latom, people would assume it means Amen. But to each person saying Latom, it can mean whatever they want it to mean. So yeah, Shinra does know that the Adola exists. He has an Adola burst. He even has a connection to it. So in theory, every time Shinra says Latom, it means goodbye, not Amen, because he doesn't believe in hope. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained, day 36. I know I haven't done this in a while, but it's good to be back. Now today we're going to be talking about a character named Vulcan Joseph. And just like the Juggernaut, he is actually one of the most slept on characters in all of Fire Force. Vulcan is a very smart and talented mechanical engineer. He literally lives in a junkyard. Now being a mechanic has always been a thing within the Joseph family for hundreds of years. This is a picture of him, his grandfather, and his dad. Now, he is so good at building things, he builds things really fast, and it looks like he's just playing the drums, as you can see in this picture right here. Now, Vulcan's main motto, as you could read right here, is that if it breaks, the product is defective. He reaches for that strive of perfection, because he feels like the tools that a soldier uses is very important. And by the way, he's also a human, and he is not a pyrokinetic user. Now, I'm going to talk about his backstory in part 2. Alright guys, this is part 36 of Fire Force Explained. This is Vulcan Joseph Part 2. Now, it started years ago when Vulcan was a kid. Vulcan's father and his grandfather had a passion for building things and creating things, along with their best friend, Giovanni. Now, after the sudden death of the father and grandfather, Giovanni decided to work for the Fire Force. Well, technically, he joined Whoisnemo Industries first, and then he joined the Fire Force. Then he became the captain of the 3rd company. Vulcan saw this as a betrayal. They didn't want the secrets and the techniques of the Joseph family to be spread around. That's why Vulcan got upset. When Vulcan got older, he decided to protect his family's secrets. That's why he became a free agent and decided to engineer on his own. The reason why these secrets were so important because the Joseph family are the ones who created Amaterasu. Amaterasu is actually this picture right here. It is the power source that gives life and power and energy to the Tokyo Empire. I guess it's going to be part... Alright, now I didn't think it would be 3 parts, but yeah, part 3 of Vulcan. Now, after Giovanni joined the Fire Force, there's speculation that Giovanni had told everybody that the Joseph family created Amaterasu. So now, naturally, everybody wanted a taste of his talent. So he got in offers from the Fire Force, Whoisnemo Industries, and the Holy Soul Temple. You could pause this and read it, but he declined all those offers. And that's because Giovanni stopped selling supplies to Vulcan to try to stop him from building things on his own. But that didn't stop him, because Vulcan's life goal is to discover a new source that could bring back all extinct animals. Now remember, because of the Great Cataclysm, basic animals like lions, bears, elephants, giraffes all went extinct. And he wants to bring them back, hence the reason why he has an obsession with animals. So after the fight between Shinra, Sho, and Dr. Giovanni, he ends up joining Company 8. Thank you for watching. What's going on, guys? Welcome to day 37 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about the Holy Soul religion and its origins. Let's get right into it. We get the origin story of the Holy Soul religion starting at chapter 130. When Leonard Burns continues his investigation on the truth behind the Holy Soul Temple, he finds a notebook from the wife of Raffles I. And in that notebook, she states that after Raffles I discovered the Adola burst, he led a couple of disciples to pray to the fire to make it grow stronger. Then later on, he used that fire as the source of energy for the Tokyo Empire and the Amaterasu power plant. Now in that notebook, she also stated another very important detail. You could read it in the panel behind me. But she said after he returned from creating the Amaterasu power plant, he acted a little bit strange. I'm running out of time, so check out part 2. Alright guys, day 37 of Fire Force Explained. This is the Holy Soul Religion part 2. Now we last left off where I said the wife of Raffles I said that he acted completely different when he came back home. And that's because it wasn't Raffles I. That was because it was this guy right here. His name is Yona. Yona is not human, and his powers is to shapeshift into anything he wants, regardless if it's a human or an animal. Now, while he was using the body of the Raffles I, he decided to preach a completely different agenda for the Holy Soul religion. He basically says that if you are a living being, your only fate is to give your life to the fire of the Adola burst. And the reason why this makes so much sense is because the more souls that the Adola burst, I guess you can say, obtains, the stronger it gets. And the stronger that the Adola is, the more powerful the Great Cataclysm can be. And that's the end goal of the evangelist. What's going on, guys? Welcome to day 38 of Fire Force Explained. And today's video, we're going to be talking about hand signs. No, I'm not talking about the hand signs from Naruto. And yes, Fire Force does implement hand signs. Let's get right into it. Now, there's different hand signs in Fire Force, but in today's video, we're going to be talking about one specific one. It's going to be called the Tora Hishigi. Now, hand signs in Fire Force are called kata. And as you could read in this panel right here, each different hand sign serve a different purpose. And just like most animes, they implement the energy called ki into their power system. Now, as you can see in the picture below me, he uses his thumb and his pointer finger. This specific hand sign is called the Tora Hishigi. He uses this hand sign to direct all his ki to his feet and to control the ki to make him move faster. And as you all know, he has an ability called Rapid. The rapid speed allows Shinra to move almost as the speed of light, but using the Tora Hishigi, it amplifies his rapid ability. Now, another character that has been confirmed to use hand signs is Benimaru Shinman, everybody's favorite character. Now, one last thing before I end the video, it hasn't been specified if all pyrokinetic users can use hand signs. Now, from common knowledge, I would like to assume so, because ki energy is within inside everybody and not just pyrokinetic users. Thank you for watching. You haven't seen these glasses in a while, and you already know what's gonna go down if I have these glasses on. Welcome to day 39 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're gonna be talking about Dragon. He has a very short backstory, so let's get right into it. His story starts in chapter 264, I believe, and it started when he was a little kid and he's from Iraq. After his home was destroyed, he decided to venture off into the world. And during his adventure, he would basically destroy everything in his path. He would dry up seas, burn down countries, and kill anybody he meets. All because he was bored and he had a lot of hatred for the world. Then as he got older, he met Faye. Faye basically told Dragon that they're planning on another great cataclysm in the near future. And he asked Dragon, since you're so bored, how about you come work with us? He thought that his despair and hatred for the world would be a valuable asset. Dragon literally had nothing to lose, so he decided to join him. And you know the deal, like, comment, and share for part 2. And follow for more Fire Force content. Welcome to Fire Force Explained, day 39. This is Dragon Part 2, Powers and Abilities. Now, Dragon is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. Now, he has super strength, immense speed, extreme durability, enhanced stamina and endurance, a whole lot of willpower, and one thing that most characters in Fire Force don't have is longevity. And if you don't know what I mean, this means he could go through a very long period of time without physically aging. Now, these powers are the same powers that a lot of other characters have in Fire Force, but the reason why he's so strong, and that's because all of his abilities that I just listed are multiplied times 2 or even tripled. His main ability is to breathe out fire, but he could control the streams of his blast to turn into explosions. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and share this video with a friend who also loves Fire Force. Until next time. Alright guys, welcome to day 40 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about the Stellar Ring, aka the Star Ring. Now, as you all know, Excalibur is the name of the sword that Arthur uses. But after the first encounter he had with Dragon actually destroyed the first Excalibur. So between chapters 200 and 206, Vulcan actually made him a new sword to use. And he said with the leftover materials he had making the new sword, he decided to make him a ring and gift it to Arthur. He told him to only use the ring when truly necessary. So during the second fight between Arthur and Dragon, he was sprung into space. Arthur couldn't breathe, his chest was caving in, he was about to die. But he equipped the Star Ring and it granted him immense power. And there you have it, that's the Star Ring explained. Like, comment, and share this video with a friend who also loves Fire Force. And also follow me for more Fire Force content. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to day 41 of Fire Force Explained. Today we're going to be talking about Kayoko Huang. Now, she doesn't have a backstory, so let's just get right into powers and abilities. Now, Huang is 47 years old and she is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic user. She is also a doctor, more specifically a surgeon. 47 years old and you look like this, bro? Damn, she looked good. Fun fact, she was the doctor that helped Shinra come back to life after his first fight with Sho. Her main ability is called the Asclepius Staff. This ability can cure diseases and heal wounds, but the most interesting part about her power, you could read it right here in this panel. If the person she is trying to heal is also a pyrokinetic user, she could use their flames to heal them, which is absolutely insane. You know the deal, like, comment, and share with a friend who also likes Fire Force. And also be sure to follow me for more Fire Force content. Thank you so much for watching. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained day 42, I believe. And I'm gonna tell the whole story of Dragon versus Arthur. Welcome to part 1, let's get right into it. Now it all starts in chapter 186, and it was halfway through the Rescue Obi arc, and Arthur was fighting this character and their name is Stream. Right after Arthur defeated Stream, a mysterious figure showed up, as you see in this picture right here. He drops down in front of Arthur to introduce himself. And this is where the famous line comes from, and he simply says, "I am Dragon." And this is where things get intense. So to introduce himself, he basically just started fighting. Arthur realized this was going to be a worthy opponent for him. So with a little bit of imagination, and having a little bit too much faith in Excalibur, he decides to use his finishing move called the Violet Flash. But let's just say he's in for a very big surprise. Like, comment, and share this video for part 2. Alright, welcome to day 43 of Fire Force Explained. This is Dragon versus Arthur, part 2, I believe. Alright, so right after Arthur used Violet Flash on Dragon, as you can see here, he landed a hit on him. But Arthur definitely underestimated him, because if you look at the panel above me, it barely even made a scratch on Dragon. As a matter of fact, it tickled. Then seconds after that, Arthur continues to get his ass beat. And after a couple of chapters of fighting, Dragon turns into this. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw a motherfucker who turned into this shit, I would have just walked the other way, low-key. And after a couple of more pages of fighting, Excalibur gets shattered. It doesn't get broken, it gets shattered into pieces. And you could only imagine how heartbroken Arthur was, because low-key I was heartbroken too when I saw this. Thank you so much for watching. You already know the drill. Like, comment, and share this video for part 3, I believe. Yeah. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained, day 44, I believe. This is Arthur versus Dragon part 3. And some of y'all were complaining that I wasn't using the 3-minute feature, so I'm gonna just use the 3-minute video right now. So let's get right into it. So we last left off when his first Excalibur sword got shattered into pieces. And right when Dragon was gonna finish Arthur off, the White Clad interrupted. They were there to start the Great Gathering. The Great Gathering is an event that happens when all of the members of the White Clad come together to activate the pillar to, I guess, initiate the Great Cataclysm. So after they rescued Captain Obi, days later, Arthur was feeling super sad and super down bad. He was super upset that he didn't have his sword. So Vulcan, being the great friend that he is, he said, hey, I'm going to build you another sword. And since we all know Arthur's powers comes from his imagination, Vulcan had the great idea to turn it into a scavenger hunt to look for imaginary materials to make the legendary Excalibur sword. This is where we find out that Arthur's parents are still alive, and this is where we meet his parents, but I'm gonna skip all that. Now, here's where things get very interesting. After Vulcan gave him Excalibur 2, you would think any other normal character would train for a really big fight like this. But no. You know what Arthur does? He plays a video game to prepare for his fight for a dragon. I literally cannot make this up. He literally plays a video game to prepare for his fight. In chapter 258, I believe, you can read all about it. He also uses the video game as a teleportation tool, I think, and he could like fast travel to places. Then his second encounter is where the real fight happens. Now, there's really not much detail in the fight itself. It's just mainly Arthur explaining how he became stronger and he prepared for the fight. So halfway through the fight, Dragon decided that he was bored, so he decided to bring Arthur to space. Literally. And he dragged him all the way to the moon. And yes, this is a direct Easter egg to Soul Eater. And obviously, since Arthur is human, he can't breathe in space, so he basically almost dies. This is where things take a turn. It says here Arthur equipped the Star Ring. Now, you're probably wondering where the Star Ring came from. And you're probably wondering where the Star Ring came from. The Star Ring was actually given to him by Vulcan while they were playing that video game. And this is where we get this very famous picture that you probably see all over Twitter. Arthur basically becomes a god. Then he manages to defeat Dragon, but it basically almost cost him his life. This is him in space, floating in the air, screaming back at Earth, telling Shinra, hey, I did my part, now time to do yours. And he basically says, hey, I leave the rest to you, you gotta save the world. And that's basically it. That's the full fight of Dragon versus Arthur. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, so I stopped making Fire Force Explain videos, only because I thought I covered everything. But then I realized there's a couple of characters that I didn't even mention. And little homie right here wants to talk about Inca. So let's just jump right into it. Now, welcome to Fire Force Explain Day. I don't know what day it is. I've been doing this for so long, I forgot what part I'm on. But this character right here, her name is Inca, but I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name because I'm going to butcher it. Now, her story starts at the end of chapter 99, and she may look like a regular high school girl to you, but she has a little bit of a side hustle. And her side hustle is that she rescues people from fires, but she robs them right after. Yeah, I know, it is bizarre. Now, the way she does things is she'll be the first one at the side of a fire, and as she's rescuing a civilian, she'll basically say, give me all your money and your valuable belongings in exchange for me saving your life. Is this fucked up? 100%. Now, as far as her backstory, it's actually very simple and very straightforward. During the Great Fire 2 years ago, she was the only one that survived within her friends and family. Wow, that's good. Only because of her superpowers. Her power being that she could actually physically see the pathways of flames. No normal human could actually predict the start or the end of a fire, but she definitely can, so that's why she was able to just walk out the Great Fire 2 years ago with ease. Now, after the first pillar interacted with Inca, it awakened her Adola Burst. Now, after they found out she was the 5th pillar of the Adola Burst, they sent Karon to go pick her up. Then, obviously, Shinra came to try to save the day. But that kind of didn't work out, as you can see in this picture right here. Now, after all that work Shinra and the Company 8 did to save the city and to protect her, she decides to go with the White Clad willingly. You want to know her reasons? You can even read it in the panel right behind me. She said it's because her life is boring, and if she joins that side, there's more danger, and that would make her life more exciting. I can't make this up. You could read it right here. She even killed one of her own friends because she thought he was in the way. You see this little ball of fire right below me? Yeah, that's her friend, set on fire. She's crazy. But if you want the story in full, just read chapters 99 to 111. You'll get her full story there. Alright guys, you already know the deal. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and share this video with a friend who likes Fire Force just as much as we do. I didn't think I had to use the whole 3 minutes for her backstory, so I'm gonna do a part 2 for powers and abilities. So go check that out right after this video. And again, thank you for watching. Alright guys, welcome to Fire Force Explained. This is day 45, Inca part 2. We're going to be talking about powers and abilities. Inca is actually 16 years old, and she is a 3rd and 4th generation pyrokinetic user. She is also the 5th pillar of the Adola Burst. And currently she has sided with the White Clad. Now her powers aren't OP, but if utilized correctly, it could be very useful. She has the ability to detect the pathways of fire. She can see where the fire starts, and she can see where it's going to end. She can even see how far a fire could spread. Now her downside to her power is that she cannot see the pathways of fire at will. So if a pathway of a flame is not there or she can't see it, she's not going to know when the flame is going to start or where it's going to end. And unfortunately, that's all it really is to it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and share this video with a friend who likes Fire Force. You know what? Challenge accepted. Let's get it. Speedrun, let's go. This is the introduction arc. We're introduced to people who turn into matches. Then we get introduced to Shinra Kusakabe. He's ready to save the day. But then the Fire Force Company 8 intervenes. Then they take out the match with one hit. Then Kusakabe says, hey, I don't think you know who I am, but I'm about to join your team real soon. Then we're headed back to the headquarters where everybody introduces themselves. This is where Shinra says he's going to be a hero. Then we're introduced to Fanservice 1 and Fanservice 2. We get a full explanation of the different generations of pyrokinetics. And a brief backstory of Kusakabe. The alarm goes off indicating that somebody turned into a match again. Ready for action. Of course, Shinra is ready to save the day again. And you guessed it. Takes out the match in one hit. We get this cool panel of it too. Then we're back at the headquarters where Kusakabe admits to his captain that becoming a hero is a lot harder than he thought. Then the next day we're introduced to the GOAT. He introduces himself as the Night King. But apparently Devilman already knows him? Huh? The GOAT himself starts to talk his shit and he gets called out. Then Captain Hinowa calls for a little training spar. Then Fanservice 2 kicks both of their asses. Uh-oh, somebody lit up another match. Alarm goes off, time for another mission. The GOAT takes out the match with one hit. Then the next day, all the rookies from the Fire Force companies get together and do a training tournament. But then the Joker shows up. They're in big trouble because Batman doesn't exist in this universe. They fight. We get some cool panels. Some more cool panels. So this person didn't turn into a match, so they didn't take him out in one hit. Then he disappears. Training exercise go boom. Shinra has another talk with his captain, saying I made a promise to my mom and my little brother, so I'm gonna keep going with this. We found out that the Joker was working with a scientist? The next day we get introduced to this weird guy. His name is Miyamoto. He was in the middle of getting arrested. And of course he turns into another fire match. But this is not no regular fire match. He could talk and think for himself. They start fighting. Then he tries to surrender, but Captain Hinowa pulls up with the Black Air Force 1 energy, pulls the gat to his head and said, nah, you better finish what you started. This is a panel of Captain Hinowa going on demon time. Shinra was just like, hey, I want to go demon time too. And then this bad bitch shows up. She says, hey, this is mine. I'll take him into custody. She's with the Fire Force Company 5, and apparently they were on their territory. So she takes the talking match, but not to arrest him, but for evidence. And that's the end of Arc 1. Thank you so much for watching. Part 2 coming out tomorrow. Like, comment, and share this video with a friend who also likes Fire Force just as much as we do. This was actually very fun to make. Explaining all the story arcs in Fire Force Part 2. Speedrun, let's go. We last left off where the bad bitch stole the talking flame human from Company 8. Then we see her doing experiments. It looks like torture to me, to be honest with you. Oh my god, look, it's fanservice number 1. Here's a cool picture of the palace that the bad bitch lives in. Then fanservice 3 takes a visit to that palace to talk to the bad bitch. She's trying to convince her to not continue with the experiments. She wasn't too happy about that. Then, knowing that fanservice number 3 was in trouble, Devilman Crybaby came to save the day. But he didn't come alone, he pulled up with the goons. And respectfully, they threw the hands. And during this fight, we get introduced to very weird characters such as Mr. Bubblegum, Charlie's Angels, and the grandpa from Coneheads. Wait, the talking flame human works for Company 5? Don't worry, Arthur got this. And respectfully, he takes him out in one hit. Devilman Crybaby enters the palace. You already know a fight started. Then the bad bitch gives her background story. Back in the day when she used to be a nun, her church went boom. Her and Iris were the only survivors. Devilman Crybaby said to shut the fuck up. God damn, Devilman Crybaby, you ain't had to do her like that. You hit her so hard, I even felt it. Then the bad bitch gives us a reason on why she was experimenting on the flame humans. This is where we find out she literally bought herself into the Fire Force Company. After she was done explaining, she basically says, I'm sorry. After they squashed the beef, Devilman Crybaby told the bad bitch, tell me more about this human spontaneous combustion. After Company 5 and Company 8 stopped fighting, they decided to have a cookout. During this cookout, Captain Obi and the bad bitch have a private conversation. They basically agreed to work together, but the bad bitch had to agree to give them updated information from the research. And that's the end of Arc 2. Be here tomorrow for Arc 3. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video, comment, and share this video with a friend who likes Fire Force just as much as we do. Nah, but for real, why am I having a lot of fun making these? Time to get the anime community on TikTok mad again, because we have a lot to talk about. So welcome to Fire Force Explained Day something. It's been so long since I made one of these videos. But chapter 298, I believe it was, dropped yesterday. And there was a bomb that dropped on us. So basically, it's been confirmed that Shinra is a god. I cannot make this up. Again, you can read it in the panel behind me. Even Sho explained to Shinra, saying that although you may not be a god, but you have powers of a god. So not only does he move faster than the speed of light, and he could also deconstruct himself to a subatomic level. He could also go back in time. Now we find out he can create life. He can create life. So next time y'all are having your anime debates and fight conversations, make sure you add Shinra to the list. Yes, I saw this afternoon, but I was in the middle of streaming, so that's why I couldn't react to it. But yes, it's rumored that Favorite Production already started production of Season 3 of Fire Force. I'm excited amongst everybody else. Now, I can make a whole separate video talking about what to expect in Season 3 if you would like me to. I'm probably going to do it anyway, but if you really want me to do it, just like and comment on this video. But yeah, we all knew it was coming. My work here is done. I'm glad I had the journey that I had with you guys. I'm glad I grew a community talking about Fire Force, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. And now that Season 3 is finally in production, all of that stress, all of that toxicness was low-key worth it. Because now Season 3 is going to come out and all is well. And we're all going to fucking enjoy it. And all the Day 1 Fire Force fans are going to join me on reacting to it and discussing it and having fun.